You've got a great camera, your lighting is on point, yet your photographs are still mediocre. Why is that? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Duthie and I'm here to help you craft your career with creative marketing and artistic inspiration. And every Monday is an Etsy tips video. That's tips and tricks for selling online, specifically on Etsy, one of the largest marketplaces for creative people. So before we get started, I just want to ask you guys, what do you use to edit your photographs? Do you use a free program on your computer, an app on your phone? Do you not edit them at all, or do you have a paid program you use? Just let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you use to edit your photographs. So if you haven't seen it already, I made a video a couple of weeks ago all about taking great photographs for selling your items on Etsy. But the taking the great photographs is only half of the story. You might be still getting disappointing results and wondering why, and that is because a great photograph is made in the editing. All the best photographers edit their work. It's never straight off the camera. So if you don't already, you should really be considering editing your photographs, or at least just your one main image, to really make it pop and be enticing to buyers. And there's a whole range of different ways you can edit a photograph. One of the simplest methods that I completely love is a free website called fotofuze, and that if you're on your PC, it'll take your images from Etsy, put them into fotofuze where you can edit them, you can cut out the background and do some basic things like brighten them up, and then it imports them straight back into Etsy without you even having to save a file. I've already done a video on how that works, so if you want to check that out, but it is a great tool that I totally recommend. And what I also use is Photoshop. This is the industry standard for editing photographs. That, along with Adobe Lightroom, is what most of the professionals use. Although there's a bit of a learning curve in how to get started, once you know how to use it, it really is worth the effort, and it is such a powerful program. But there's also free photo editing tools out there. They might not have all the same features as Photoshop, but it's certainly good enough to get you started. If you've already taken a fairly great picture on your phone, you could even just use the photo editor in your phone or an app in your phone to turn the picture just that little bit better. So let's have a look at how you can edit a picture on your mobile phone. Okay, so let's start out with editing this little picture, which is a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing on Wednesday. So the picture, I've lit it as well as I can, and I've taken it on a nice white background, but I've still got some junk lying about and it's not as clear as it could be. So firstly, this is just in my camera gallery. I've just tapped on the picture and this will bring up the edit button here, which when I jump into it, the first thing I want to do is crop out all this rubbish around the edges. So when I click on crop, I just get this grid that I can click and drag just with my fingertips to smooth into the size that I want. So that looks like all the rubbish is away. So I'm just going to click on the picture, and I missed a bit in the corner, so I can crop again just to get rid of everything, so it's just what we want. We could also remove that in like fotofuze later on, but we want to do everything here. So some of the other things, we have the filter button. This just gives different effects, none of which we're really wanting, black and white effects, which could be kind of cool, but depends on what you're wanting. But let's stick with our original. So we'll just say yes to that. Splash is kind of fun. It makes everything black and white, and then when you touch something, it brings up only those colours instead of the full colours for everything. But we can only do one, and I want the purple and the red, so we'll say no to that. It is a fun effect though. Yeah, so that's splash. What illusion is, this could be fun for if you want to draw the eye to something. It's doing this just now as a circular radius where you can see, so it makes everything in focus within the circle and blurs out the background. So that can draw your eye to the one thing that you want. You can make it more blurred or less blurred. It can really help to draw the eye to a certain point on your picture just by touching the picture with your finger and dragging that. But for this picture, we want everything to be shown up. Again, linear is the same thing, but the area that's in focus is this straight line now. This can be really cool for like landscape pictures and things, but we don't really want any of that, and blur just blurs the whole picture if you wanted to use this as a background with something else on top of it, but we don't want any of that for this kind of picture, so we'll say no to that. Now adjust is the most important layer that you're going to want, most important tool in this. So first we've got brightness, which as it sounds can just allow you to up the brightness. As you can see, if you go too far, everything kind of gets a bit too washed out. And if you take it too far back, it's all too dark. So just taking it where you're happy with it. So I think the background brightness is quite good there. Contrast, again, when we play with this, if you go too far, then the darks are far too dark and the lights are too light. And if you go the other way, everything again looks washed out. So just take it up to where you're kind of happy with it. That'll do. Saturation is how saturated the colours are. If we go too far, again, this looks, I mean, the reds look ridiculous. It looks neon. And if we take it too far down, then everything's practically black and white. So just bringing it up to a place where you're kind of happy. Now this is difficult because the reds have picked up far better on the camera than the purples have, but that's just something that can be dealt with in other photo editing apps, not necessarily this one. But this is just the free one you got with the camera. Sharpness is as it sounds. As you slide up it, it makes everything look sharper, but it can be too grainy. It's almost like every single fibre you can see there, which is just a bit too much. Highlights allows you to lighten or darken the bright areas of the picture. So you can see it's not touching the shadows, but it's just making everything that's light just a little bit brighter. And if we take it down, everything that's light's a little bit darker. Now you want to take this up so it's actually not blowing out too badly. This is pretty good, which is making the background really nice and clear and white, so I'm not going to have to cut it out. So that's not bad. Yeah, I actually kind of like that. And shadows, as you would imagine, that's going to take your darker areas, and you can lighten up your darker areas if you want, or darken them. So what we're going to do, just somewhere about there looks kind of good. Hue, this is if you imagine you've taken a picture of a landscape and you either want it to look kind of snowy and frosty, or give it an effect of you're in a sunrise or a sunset. So if I slide it to the left, that brings everything more orangey red toned, so it looks like the photograph was taken in a sunset. It's not the greatest effect here with this one, but you can see the difference. And if we go to the right, it makes everything slightly more blue, so the image looks colder. This can just give a feeling of, like I say, you know, it's winter or it's summer. It just gives a feeling. But I just want this at the tone so it kind of looks like what I'm seeing here, the more natural colours, but still with a bit of a pop so it draws the eye. And then a black and white filter does what it says on the tin. It can make it black and white, but we don't want it black and white, clearly. So I'll say no to that. And there's other fun things here. You can add a watermark or a label to it. So I hope that was useful for you, just to see some very simple effects that can really make a picture go from not so bad to really pop, and what the different tools are and how they work. So I hope that was helpful for you. If it was, don't forget, click on my wee face to subscribe, check out the video that YouTube wants you to watch, and come back every Monday for more videos. Thank you so much.